A lot of the commentary of the races in this video is going to be focused on a case study of an old bike racer doing a crit with a warm-up and without a warm-up. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek, and I am that old bike racer.
Everybody ready? On the whistle!
With only one lap of warm-up, I figured my best move was to plant myself on somebody's wheel toward the front of the pack. The night before was the time change, where the clock sprung forward 1 hour. In other words, I was losing an hour's sleep. So I prepped everything. I went to bed early. I made sure the car was packed, I had my food was packed. All I had to do was get up at 4 a.m., take care of stuff, get in the car and go. The race is in Livermore, California, which is about a little over 2 hours away from where I live in Madera Ranchos, around central California. As it turned out, the one thing that I should have done that I didn't do was set a second alarm. I got up in the middle of the night, and then I was up for a number of hours, and then finally I went back to sleep, and I got up at 5:37. So I was scrambling. I got out the door by a little before 6 o'clock. I made it over here, and it just so happened that my teammate, who's also in this race, he's a Cat 4 and in the 45 plus 3s force, he was late also for a different reason. His Google Maps on his iPhone took him somewhere else. What are you going to do, right? So we both had about one lap of warm-up, and that was it. I did have the option to transfer this race start to another race start later in the day, but that would have been the 45 plus 55 plus 1, 2, 3s. And for those of you that are familiar with my channel, you know how that would have turned out. Still, my main concern was my AFIB, and I was taking a chance doing this race. For those of you not familiar with my channel, I have been having AFIB incidences for about the past 3 years, but the last AFIB incident that I had was about 17 months ago. Given that, there were two main things I had to deal with. One was my aerobic system, and the second was with the musculature in my legs. Ordinarily, I take about 40 minutes to warm up, and I do a nice low warm up, get the heart going, and then I get the muscles going. Even though it took a while, due to a combination of my increasing form, the speed of the race, and the warm-up I did yesterday, eventually the added stress stopped whenever I had to ramp up my aerobic side. My leg muscles were another matter. Anytime I had to apply extra power, it literally hurt. And that usually happened, not necessarily in surges, but on these corners, and I wasn't doing a good job most of the time. So right now, I am off wheel. I should be a lot closer, and now I'm having to go over 500 watts just to make that connection again. By not having that warm-up, I felt I was in deficit that whole race. When something came along that was obvious for me to do, I just couldn't do it because I just didn't have the legs. And usually, again, it was leg muscles. I'll show an example. Notice the guy in front of me with the chamois butter on his bib. Look what he does, and look what I do. He starts to move up. I should be on his wheel, getting a free ride and improving my position. I'm already going 400 watts, and that's hurting me. Coming into this next turn, I should be on somebody's wheel, but I'm not. It's just like I'm hitting myself on the head with a hammer. And now I'm spending even more watts trying to catch up. Pretty much this was the whole race for me. With about 5 laps to go, my legs finally stopped hurting when I was using some big power. That didn't give me a modicum of respite, but I sure was extra tired by that time. Fast forward with about 4 laps to go. I'm in the middle of an extended surge. My watts are up, the speed is up, and my heart rate's going up. I don't have much longer. So there's a gap here, and I should be able to close it, but I'm just hanging on this guy's wheel because I'm just looking to get some help here. Now, that's a sign that I was on the guy's wheel, and we took the corner, and then I just couldn't stay on it because of how he surged out of it. And you notice my watts are 0 right now. I'm not pedaling. I have hit my red line. A half a lap later, I connected with a couple others that were spit out the back along with me. We went into chase mode. In the beginning, we thought we can catch them, but half a lap later, it was pretty evident that that wasn't going to happen. Still, we kept working it. We each knew this was money in the bank. This was going to pay off for us later on. Heading into the final corner, I again take my turn for my pole. Thinking and hoping that the others are getting tired, I put everything I have into it. As it turns out, they come around me. I eventually crossed the finish line well worked and happy for it, and not realizing that I'm just one position out of last place. I spin around during the next race, and then I line up after that for the 60 plus, 55 plus, 1, 2, 3, 4s. I don't know what to expect, but I'm feeling a lot better.
On my whistle!
I jumped from the starting line with the same intent I had in the previous race, to plant myself in back of somebody toward the front of the race. As it turned out, I'm by myself and everyone is taking their time taking off the line. So I just keep my pace. I'm not killing myself, but I'm waiting for them to catch up so I can slip in. They seem to be taking their sweet time getting up here, and then I turn around and realize that they're starting to get onto my wheel. Then I go toward the left again, slow up a bit. I don't want to be at the front. There were quite a few differences in this race compared to the previous race. For one, I was feeling a lot better. My body was warmed up. You probably noticed in the previous race that we were usually bunched up. In this race, we were often lined out. Whenever we did bunch up, an attack would soon follow. A lot of the people in here, because there were 1s and 2s, were a lot stronger than me than a lot of people were in the previous race. This race was about 10 minutes longer at 50 minutes. And the last major difference I can think of, I was taking the corners much, much better. Personal note, make sure you are a few more positions back from the front so you don't have to take a pull. My doing a quick pull slowed the punch up, and so that enabled an attack to go off. Now I didn't jump with the attack right away. I wanted to drop back a bit and ride someone's wheel up. Unfortunately, everyone was lined out, so it took a while before I found a spot where I can just slip into somebody's wheel. I wasn't totally at the back, but I was close to it, and I really didn't want to be there like that. The attack was caught. We're bunching up a bit. I'm taking, again, much better corners. I'll stay protected for as long as I can and look for an opportunity to move up. Fast forward a bit, and we can see another example that this group is not shy in taking advantage of opportunities. The group slowed up a bit, and somebody has gone off the front. I think that may be Hammett Nutrition. And with the group reacting as it did, it probably was. Of course, every corner I was taking wasn't perfect. Here we're lined out, I'm on the wheel, and just from the sheer speed and power of these guys, a big gap opens in front of me that I got to fill. Pretty much this is what the whole race was like. Line out, oh, I'm starting to weaken a bit and people are passing by me because I'm just not holding the wheel as well as I should. Okay, so the race has been pretty much line out, slow down a bit, bunch up, someone's attack, we start to chase, we line out again, and repeat. Fast forward a bunch of laps and we slow down to about 25, and again someone attacks. Now I'm toward the front for this time, but I'm starting to weaken a lot, and so now everybody's starting to pass me. And I'm just hoping my legs can come back by the time this last person comes by. Fortunately, I was able to stay connected, but I'm starting to get tired and I'm starting to count laps. A few laps later of being lined out, I start to succumb to the speed. The moto ref, who's a fellow sardine eater, offers to go to his truck to get me a can. You always got to have your sense of humor. All I need is a little bit of rest. Wanting to get my money's worth, I spin around and wait for the pack to come around again. And I just integrate in toward the back. I don't want to interfere. I want to get the extra work in and see if I can finish with him on that final run into the finish line. When I had reintegrated into the pack, I noticed that the National Champions jersey was toward the back. With Larry being one of the favorites to win this race, I thought I'd see if I can keep tabs on him from my back seat. I think we had something like 7 laps left at this point. Coming into 3 laps to go, Larry's still at the back 25% of the pack. But when you're strong as he is, compared to as strong as I am, you can afford to be anywhere and then move up into position whenever you need to. And pretty much that's what he did right about now. And I noticed when he did that, there was verbal angst in the pack kind of bunched up, and then things proceeded along. As we fast forward to the back end of the last lap, whatever Larry did, because I can't see what he's doing now, it worked out as he took the win. I'm pushing 30 mph. I'm trying to keep these guys in sight. I'm just happy being this close coming into the finish with these guys. While the first race was a bear for me, the second race made the trip worth it. I'll have the Stravas for both these races linked in the description below. Comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.